नहीं, ये लाइफ का चेक है और वो ना वीडियो के लिए बैठे वीडियो। ये निर्मल को पूछे कब लगाने जाना है। निर्मल को पूछे ये कब लगाना है।
आएंगे तब बैठेंगे तो उनको बोलने का कि उधर ये हाँ सादत इधर से ना इधर से हेलो हेलो उधर somewhere your or somewhere you. हॉस्पिटल वाले को बीपीआ पे आए ये ऐश्वर्या मैम नहीं पढ़ना कोई मेरे को
कैसा क्या पढ़ा।
वो तो पढ़ा हम लोग इधर बैठे हॉस्पिटल में काम कर रहे हैं
ये कब लगाना है हमको।
कैसे कॉलम पे लगा
इधर नहीं पूछा कब।
कैसे आएंगे
रंग क्या बुके देने जाता हूँ।
नहीं नहीं बुके देने के बाद तो देखेंगे आज उसके बाद बात करेंगे
आनंद पूरा
The entire Paran is for you. And you are chit chatting, murmuring, watching phone. I did not say doing the or doing it sort of medical healing and reading or seeing what it is there. This is so everything you have for you. You come here early so that you invite the vibrations. And the vibration which you are inviting is your neighbor's chanting. Again, keep your mouth shut when it is going on. You stand out, talk, complete your entire talk, and then enter the system. आनंद के साथ की आवाज आ रही है बैठे हो तो की आवाज आ रही है आप एक ऐसी ठंडी और ऐसी सांस में so please make sure that you shut your mouth and sit here. Volunteers are not here to monitor everyone and they are sleeping, reading reports. Even they want to listen to this. So better make sure that you are in your limits in terms of attending the session. If not, we will none of violence. You are here for certificate and credit, he can go. But we allow others who are ready to listen, who are coming here to listen, Bhagavad Gita, please allow them to take the knowledge. Continue. Continue the Parayana.
प्रसीद विज्ञातुं शान्तरस्तवाद्यं नहि जानामि तव प्रवृत्तिम् श्रीभगवानुवाच महात्मस्मिनो भक्षणमिच्छः योगासमानस्तुमिहारिविक्रम मृतेऽपि त्वां न हरिष्यन्ति सर्वे देवस्थिताः प्रत्यनीकेषु योधाः तस्मात् त्वमुत्तिष्ठ ययोनभस्व जिह्वाक्ष भुक्ष्व राज्यं समृद्धम् मयैवैते निहता पूर्णमेव निमित्तमात्रं भवतः यथाचिन् द्रोणश्च भीष्मश्च जयद्रथश्च कर्णं तथान्यानपि योधवीरान् मया हताः स्वञ्जयिमाव्यधिष्ठाः युध्यस्वचेतासिरणे समग्नानि सञ्जय उवाच एतच्छ्रुत्वा वचनं केशवस्य कृताञ्जलिर्वेपमानः किरीटी नमस्कृत्वा भूय एवाह कृष्णम् सदस्करम् भीत प्रणम्य अर्जुन उवाच स्थामिति तव प्रतीत्या जगत्महृष्यत्यनुरज्यते च रक्षांसि भीतान् दिशो नवन्ति सर्वे नमस्यन्ति च सिद्धसङ्घाः तस्माच्च तेन गरीयसे ब्रह्मणोऽप्याप्तिकर्त्रे अनन्तदेवेश जगन्निवास त्वमक्षरं सरसत् परयत् त्वमादिदेव पुरुषः पुराणः त्वमस्य विश्वस्य परं निधानम् वेत्तान्तिवेद्यच्च परच्च धाम त्वया ततं विस्मरन् आयुर्यवोक्तिर्परुणश्च शान्तः प्रजापतिस्त्वप्रपितामहश्च नमो नमस्तेऽस्तु सहस्रकृत्वः पुनश्च भूयोऽपि नमो नमस्ते नमः पुरस्तादथ पृष्ठतस्ते नमोऽस्तु ते कल्पत एव सर्व अनन्तवीर्यामितविक्रमस्त्वम् सर्वं समाप्नोषि ततोऽसि सर्वः सखेति मत्वा प्रसभयदुःखम् हे कृष्ण हे यादव हे सखेति अजानता महिमानन्तवेदम् मया प्रमादम् प्रणयेन वापि यच्चात्महार्थमसत्कृतोऽसि शय्यादनुभोजनेषु एकोऽथवाप्यच्युत समक्षम् प्रक्षालये त्वामहमप्रमेयम् पितासि लोकस्य चराचरस्य त्वमस्य पूज्यश्च गुरुर्गरीयान् न त्वत्समोऽस्त्यभ्यधिकः कुतोऽन्यः लोकत्रयेऽप्यप्रतिमः स्वभाव तस्मात् यत्प्रतिभायोऽयम् त्वामहमीशमीड्यम् पितेव पुत्रस्य सखेव सख्युः प्रियः प्रियायार्हसि देव सोढुम् अदृष्टपूर्वम् हृषितोऽस्मि दृष्ट्वा भयेन च प्रव्यथितं मनो मे तदेव मे दर्शय देवरूपम् प्रसीद देवेश जगन्निवास किरीटिरङ्गनिरं चक्रहस्तम् इच्छामि पुरान् द्रष्टुमहं तथैव तेनैकरूपेण चतुर्भुजेन सहस्रबाहो भव विष्णुमूर्ते श्रीभगवानुवाच च मया प्रसन्नेन तवार्जुनेदं रूपं तद्दर्शितमातृयोगात् तेजोमयं विश्वमनन्तमाद्यम् यन्मे प्रगत्येन दृष्टपूर्वम् न वेदयज्ञाध्ययनैर्भागैः न क्रियाभिर्न तपोभिरुग्रैः एवं रूपः शक्य अमन्त्रलोके त्वदन्येन कुरु प्रवीर मा ते व्यथा मा च विमूढभावः दृष्ट्वा रूपं घोरमीदृग्वमेदम् व्यपेतभीप्रीतमनाः पुनस्त्वम् तदेव मे रूपमिदं प्रपश्य सञ्जय उवाच इत्यर्जुनं वासुदेवस्तथोक्त्वा स्वकं रूपं दर्शयामास भूयः आश्वासयामास च वीतमेनं भूत्वा पुनः सव्यवपुर्महात्मा अर्जुन उवाच दृष्ट्वेदं मानुषं रूपं तव सौम्यञ्जनार्दन इदानीमस्मि सम्पृक्तः सचेता प्रकृतिं गतः श्रीभगवानुवाच सुदुर्दर्शमिदं रूपम् दृष्टवानसि यन्मम देवा सप्यस्य रूपस्य नित्यं दर्शनकाङ्क्षिणः नामं वेदैर्न तपसा न दानेन न चेज्यया शक्य एवं विधो द्रष्टुम् दृष्टवानसि मां यथा भक्त्यात्वरन्यया शक्यः अहमेव विधोऽर्जुन ज्ञातुं द्रष्टुं च न त्वेन प्रवेष्टुं च परन्तप मत्कर्म तत्परमः मद्भक्तः सङ्गवर्जितः निर्वैरः सर्वभूतेषु यः समाधेति पाण्डव ॐ तत्सदिति श्रीमद्भगवद्गीतासु उपनिषत्सु ब्रह्मविद्यायां योगशास्त्रे श्रीकृष्णार्जुनसंवादे विश्वरूपदर्शनयोगो नाम एकादशोऽध्यायः
I request you to Google to open Canada. You know, open Canada, nuclear scientist, it's my mom. We talked about this at the other. You saw this as a modern वो मुझे एकदम लोगों के सामने जो प्रकाश वाला उसका उसने सुना किया anyone we open it and this relationship with God. You will see, you will enjoy that. You must do that. The next I request for that planets.
So very quality overview. On the ground, 75 is period and quality house falls. Rights and all the English unlisted to the right and over and then to the social media to analysis today, we have among us an esteemed guest, Swami Sharma Saraswati Ji. And the director is the honor. Paramahansa Swami Siddhanta Swami Paramahansa Swami Sharma Saraswati Ji is a well teacher of Vedanta in India and abroad. Practical Bhagavad and life spirituality, which Chanakya Bhagavad is a PhD in biochemistry from the University of Chennai, India. In the year 1989, she came herself for the study scriptures under the guidance of renowned teacher Vedanta, but Swami Tathagata has since celebrated by all renunciation. Ujjimalaji also one of the founder and channels of spiritual organization called Foundation, which has as its main objective the promotion of cultural heritage of India, and spiritual activities across various settings throughout the year for seekers of all age groups. Prabhuji has also authored books in English on topics related to Vedanta, giving a narrative voice which challenges has gone one study overseas on hundreds of students in Vedanta channels. We are honored with your presence, Manaji. I request our students, Vatsal Joshi, Unnati Baswa, and Karan Chawla to welcome our guests to the total of gratitude. We all are ready and eager about the journey of experiencing the learning of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. I request Mataji to enlighten us with the golden words. Over to you, Mataji.
Any special effects you can come immediately. There is one voice lag, even when she was talking, some sort of echo. वो सब कम कर दें. हरिओम हरिओम. So I have brought some slides. I hope somebody is going to handle that. वहाँ से. So I'll give the indication. Next slide जब मैं बोलूँ, then you can please. He is handling. There. Yeah, that I can't see. The other thing was better. I could see it. Anyway, they can see it well. So I hope it will synchronize. It's a long chapter. You saw it while chanting itself. I'll try my best to give the essence of the chapter. Yes. You can show it. Yeah. Next. Om Sadashiva-Samarambham Shankaracharya-Madhyamam Asmadacharya-Paryantam Vande Guru-Paramparam Vande Guru-Paramparam Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहैः ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः Next slide. Yeah, that's so you can see that our primary scriptures, Moola Shastra, are the Vedas. And the Vedic scriptures, they give us the knowledge of our higher self. Right now, the knowledge that we possess is the knowledge of our inferior self. When you say, I'm the body, mind, sense complex, that is your lower self. Whereas the Vedic scriptures give us the knowledge of our higher self. And this knowledge in turn leads to the attainment of moksha. Moksha we can translate as liberation. And moksha alone is the source of everlasting peace and joy. Everybody wants happiness. But we want nitya sukha. So moksha, in other words, is nitya sukha, nitya shanti. Now the Vedas, they are very voluminous. Our Vedic scriptures, it's a very, very vast and voluminous literature. And most people, they are not able to study it these days particularly. Why? There is no time. There's no time to study the Vedic scriptures. And many are not even qualified to study. Therefore, we have a very condensed version of the Vedas. Vedas are very voluminous, but we have a condensed version in the form of the Bhagavad Gita. So, the Bhagavad Gita is the condensed form of the entire Vedic teaching. Next slide, please. What is the Bhagavad Gita? Bhagavad Gita, you can see it in the slide, is a part of the great epic Mahabharata. We have two great epics, Itihasa, Mahabharata and Ramayana. And Bhagavad Gita is a part of Mahabharata. And Mahabharata, all of you must be knowing, is composed by the great saint, great Rishi Vyasacharya, who is supposed to be an incarnation of Lord Vishnu. There is a verse like that. I have also quoted it. Vyasaya Vishnu Rupaya Vyasa Rupaya Vishnave. When we offer our salutation, we say that Vyasacharya is an incarnation of Lord Vishnu himself. Next slide, please. And the Gita, Bhagavad Gita, is in the form of a dialogue. We say it is Samvada. Between whom and whom? It is a dialogue that took place between Lord Krishna, who is an avatara, who is an incarnation of Lord Narayana, Lord Vishnu, and Arjuna, who represents all jivas. So we can say that Bhagavad Gita is Krishna Arjuna Samvadaha. At the end of every chapter, we say it is Krishna Arjuna Samvada. It's dialogue between Krishna, Lord Krishna, and Arjuna. Or in the language of the scriptures, we can say it is Jiveshwara Samvada. Because Arjuna represents all jivas. And Lord Krishna is Ishvara. And so it is Jiveshwara Samvada. Next slide, please. The Bhagavad Gita consists of 18 chapters. All of you are aware of it. And they are called Adhyayas. Running to about 700 shlokas, 700 verses. The 700 verses of the Bhagavad Gita, they condense the entire Vedic teaching. And so Shankaracharya ji has written a commentary on the Bhagavad Gita, which is called Shankara Bhashya. And even today, in the traditional ashrams, we study Bhagavad Gita along with Shankara Bhashyam as interpreted by our traditional acharyas. And there Shankaracharya writes, Taditam Gita Shastram Samasta Vedanta Sara Sangraha Bhaktam. Bhagavad Gita is the scripture, Gita Shastram, and it condenses Samasta Vedanta Sara. It condenses the entire Vedic teaching. So it is Vedanta Sara Sangraha Bhaktam. Of the 18 chapters, I propose to give the essence of the 11th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Now, what is the title of the 11th chapter? The next slide. The 11th chapter is titled Vishwarupa Darshana Yoga. Now, yoga means topic. Yoga means episode. We say topic or episode. So, next episode. Yesterday you had one episode. Now, today you have another episode. And what is the subject matter of this episode? Vishwarupa Darshana. The vision of the Lord in the form of Vishwa. Vishwa means the world. So it is a vision of the Lord in the form of the entire universe. So the question is, how can one get darshanam of the Lord in the form of the world? We have often read in the Puranas. We often come across stories in the Puranas of several devotees who did severe tapas. They did austerities, they did penance, and they were blessed with darshanam of the Lord in the form of their choice. It could be their Ishtadevta darshanam in the form of Lord Rama, Lord Krishna, or it could be Devi, Ganapati. But if one wants darshanam of the Lord in the form of the universe, if one wants Vishwa Ishwar darshanam, then what should one do? Do I have to invoke the Lord and invite the Lord to come in the form of the world? The answer is you need not invoke the Lord. You need not invite the Lord to appear as Vishwarupa. Why? Because the Lord in the form of the world is already before us. The world is already before us. And the visible world, the world that we see in front of us itself is the form of the Lord. That is the meaning of the word Vishwarupa. So the only thing that we have to do is to appreciate. We have to see the world as the form of the Lord. So only when you learn to look at the whole world, the whole universe as nothing but the form of the Lord, only then it can be said that you are having Vishwarupa Ishvara Darshan. And for that you have to train your mind. You have to train your mind to see the whole world itself as the manifestation of the Lord. And this training is possible only by one method. And that is to clearly understand and assimilate our Vedic scriptures. So the question is, how do the scriptures present to us this Vishwarupa? How do the scriptures present to us the form of Ishvara? Our Vedic scriptures present Ishvara. When I say Ishvara, I am talking of the Supreme Lord, Paramatma. Our scriptures present Paramatma as Jagat Karanam. You understand Jagat Karanam, the creator of our creation, creator of the world. Now, what kind of creator is our Ishvara? So the scriptures say that Lord is both the maker as well as the material. Now, for any creation to happen, to create anything, you need two types of causes. One is the maker and the other is the material. Now, the maker has to be an intelligent principle, isn't it? The maker has to be a Chetana Tattva. In Sanskrit, we call such a cause as Nimitta Karanam. I can translate it as efficient cause. So this is one cause, any product. And the other cause is called Upadana Karanam. You also require material out of which a given thing can be created. I can give you an example. In order to create a pot, who is the Nimitta Karanam? The Nimitta Karanam is one who has the knowledge and the skill to produce the product. So in the case of the pot, the Nimitta Karanam is the potter, Kumha, the efficient cause, the intelligent principle, the Chetana Tattva. And the material could be anything. If it is a clay pot, then the material is clay, or it could be copper or bronze, any metal. Now, with reference to the creation of the universe, with reference to the creation of this world, if you say that if Ishvara is the maker, which means that Ishvara is Chetana Tattvam, an intelligent cause, the efficient cause. Question is, what is the material? From where did Lord get the material to create our universe? What is the answer? From where did Lord get the material to create this universe? Suppose somebody comes up with the answer that Lord got the material from the heavens. Then the next question will be, from where did Lord get the material to create the heaven? And this will lead to a defect. In logic, it's called defect. It is called anavastha doshaha. Regression ad infinitum. Because you cannot arrive at the answer really. We must bear in mind that before creation there was nothing other than the Lord. The Vedic scriptures say that prior to the creation there was nothing other than the Lord. So even the material should have come from within the Lord. The material also could not have come from outside because there was nothing like outside. There was nothing other than the Lord. So even the material required to create this universe should have originated from the Lord. That is why our Shastras say that Lord is not an ordinary creator. Lord is not like the potter or any ordinary creator. Lord, we say, is almighty. What is almighty? Sarvajnaha Sarvashaktiman. Omniscient and omnipotent. We can't even spell the word correctly. Lord is said to be Sarvajnaha and Sarvashaktiman. Why? Because Lord is a unique creator. He is both the maker as well as the material. Next slide, please. How can the material and the maker be one? I said that Ishvara is both the maker as well as the material. Ishvara is a two-in-one cause, both the maker and the material. So the question is, how can the maker and the material be one? The Vedas give us an illustration to answer this question. What is the illustration given? It is the illustration of the spider. There is a mantra in the Upanishad. It says, Yathorna nabi sujate grunnateja. Yatha urna nabi. Urna nabi means the spider. Just as a spider creates a web, from where does it get the material? The material is a substance which originates from the spider. And finally, the spider is capable of withdrawing its web also. So, srujate grunnateja. This is the example which is given by the Upanishad. So, just as the spider is both the maker as well as the material cause of the web, similarly, the Upanishad says, Lord projects the creation. Ishvara projects the creation and withdraws it unto himself at the time of Pralaya. So at the time of Srushti, the universe originates from the Lord, and at the time of Pralayam, you understand, the final dissolution, the whole world is withdrawn into Ishvara. So now you understand that Lord is both the maker as well as the material. Now, this is a very mature understanding about Ishvara that is presented in our Vedic scriptures. If this is understood, then from this we can derive a very important corollary. Any creation cannot be away, cannot be separate from the material cause. Once again, any product, any creation cannot be separate from the material cause. None can establish a distance between the product and its material. I can give you an example. What is the distance between the shirt you are wearing and the fabric from which it is made? Can you separate the material in the product? You cannot separate the material from the product. Another example. Gold is the material cause, upadana karana. For what? Ornaments. Can you separate the material and the product? If you say that you can separate the material from its product, then I will tell you that please keep your gold ornament, your chain with you. Give me the gold. But it is not possible to separate the material from the product. If you understand this, then let us now understand this with reference to Ishvara and Vishwa, the universe. If you say that Lord is the material cause, then everything beginning from space, space is the subtlest product, Akasha Tattva. Everything beginning from space to the smallest particle, an atom or even a subatomic particle. Everything from space to the smallest particle is the product. So then, what is space? I told you the principle. You cannot separate the material from the product. The two are not separate from each other. So if everything beginning from Akash Sattvam to the smallest particle is the product which has originated from Ishvara, then what is space? Space is also Lord. What about time? Time is also the Lord. Air, fire, water, earth, all the elements, all the bhutas, Panchamahabhutas, they are all the Lord. What about the sun and the moon? Sun and the moon also is the Lord. The stars, the planets, everything, the heaven, all the worlds, all the lokas, 14, 7 up and 7 down. Chaturdasha Bhuvanani, all these are also nothing but the Lord. What about the physical body? The physical body is made up of these 5 elements. It is called Pancha Bhautikam. So even that is the Lord. What about the breath? Right now the breath is going in and coming out. Even that is Ishvara. What about your sense organs? I'm able to talk. You're able to see. We are all able to hear. Even the sense organs are the Lord. What about the mind? Mind and the buddhi right now is grasping the subject. Even that is the Lord. And above all, the Chetana Shakti in each one of us. The consciousness, the Chetana Tattvam behind all this, even that is nothing but Ishvara. The next slide, please. So, Ishvara is not a matter of belief. Ishvara is not a matter of belief in our Vedic scriptures. Ishvara is a matter of understanding. Lord of the Hindus is not a matter of belief. We don't say that I believe in God. It's not a matter of belief. Hindus, they understand God. We do not simply believe in God, we understand God. And that is why, please understand, this is very important. That is why we Hindus do not require a particular altar to invoke the Lord. You can invoke the Lord in any form. Why? Because what is it that is not Ishvara? If Ishvara is the material cause of the entire creation, then what is it that is not Ishvara? So we can worship Lord in any form. This is our tradition. We can worship Lord in the form of space. If you go to South India, there's a place called Chidambaram. So in Chidambaram, in South India, they worship Lord as Akasha Tattva. Akasha Lingam. So in Chidambaram, if you go to the temple, if you have visited, then you will know there is no idol at all. Because there, Akasha Lingam, Lord is worshipped in the form of Akasha, space. Similarly, there is a temple where Vayu Tattvam. Vayu Tattvam means air. Air is worshipped as Ishvara. There's a place called Kalahasti. Kalahasti in Andhra Pradesh, South India again. There there is a flame in the sanctum. And that flame indicates the presence of air principle. Because without the air, there cannot be, it's a continuous flame. So that is being worshipped. Similarly, in Tirunamalai, in Tamil Nadu, there's a place called Tirunamalai. There, fire is worshipped. Agni Lingam. Fire is worshipped as Ishvara. Then there is one place called Tiruvanai Kovil in Tiruchirappalli, where Jalatattvam. So these are all Panchbhuta Sthalams. Jalatattvam or water principle is worshipped as Ishvara. And in Kanchipuram, in Tamil Nadu, earth is worshipped as Ishvara, Prithvi Lingam. Thus, we find that no element is separate from Ishvara. No element, not even any force. We have different natural forces, gravitational force, electromagnetic force. We have nuclear forces. All these forces also are not separate from Ishvara. The sun, the moon, all the planets also, they are not separate or away from Ishvara. That is why we go to the temple and do Navagraha Puja. Now, all grahas, all the planets, they also are worshipped in our temples. This is a very profound vision of Ishvara. The whole cosmos is nothing but the form of Ishvara. The whole world, all the laws, everything is nothing but Ishvara. And this appreciation of the Lord in this manner presented in our Vedic scriptures is a mature way of understanding Ishvara. You will not come across this type of vision in any scripture anywhere in the world. The next slide, please. Since the Lord is everything, I said the Lord is everything. Since the Lord is everything, He is all names and all forms. Then we can invoke the Lord in any name and any form. We can pray to our Ishvara in any language. Because in the beginning I told you that Ishvara is Sarvajna. You understand the word Sarvajna? Sarvajna means omniscient, all knowing. And since Ishvara is Sarvajna, Ishvara should know all the languages. And so you can pray to Ishvara. You need not by heart only Sanskrit verses. You can pray to the Lord in any language. We can invoke the Lord, our Ishvara, in any form. We have all these traditional forms, of Lord Rama, Lord Krishna, Lord Shiva, so many traditional forms. If you want a feminine form, you don't want a masculine form, then we have all these devis. Suppose you want to worship Ishvara in animal form, then even we can even worship a snake. We even do puja of a creature like snake. We can worship a tree. Ashwata Bruksha, people tree. We worship a tree. We worship a shrub like this tulsi. These are all symbols. These are all pratikas through which we worship Ishvara. That is why we find that we have many devatas. Never be confused. That is why we find that we have many devatas in a typical puja room. All of you must be having a puja room. And there are any number of devatas. We have varieties of devatas. But we are worshipping that one God. It is not one God. We say we worship only God of the Lord as Vishwarupa. Now we have understood the word Vishwarupa. Appreciation of Ishvara as Vishwarupa involves two stages. Because with our myopic vision, you understand? Myopic. The others are creation into two parts. And since we have divided the world into two parts, it is difficult for us to appreciate the presence of the Lord in the so called ugly things. It is very easy for you to see Ishvara in a cow or in your pet dog, in your pet animal, but not in a mosquito or a scorpion. It's very easy to say that in all the good and the beautiful things, you are able to appreciate the presence of the Lord. But the things which you call as ugly, we are not able to see the presence or manifestation of Ishvara. Therefore, please listen carefully. In the 10th chapter, yesterday you covered the 10th chapter. In the 10th chapter, we learn to see the positive aspects of creation as Ishvara. And that is why the 10th chapter was called Vibhuti Yoga. There all the positive aspects were presented as Ishvara. Now, what is the difference between the 10th and the 11th chapter? In the 11th chapter, we learn to see not only the positive things, we learn to see everything as creation. Whether it is positive or negative, good, evil, everything you have to learn to appreciate it as Ishvara Swarupa. And for this, you have to develop enough maturity. For that, you need to understand that everything is nothing but the manifestation. Everything in this creation has a purpose. Everything in this creation is valid and beautiful. And it is all a manifestation of Ishvara. But if you look with a colored eye, if you look at this world with a selfish eye, then it is very natural that you will divide the whole world into this is agreeable, this is disagreeable. This is good, this is evil, this is bad, this is dangerous. You will look at the world as crooked and useless. There is nothing which is useless in Ishvara's creation. The same creation, when you see with the eye of totality, this is what I call maturity. Anaparikpata ke bhai. When you see the world now with the totality, panoramic vision, with the eye of totality, the next slide, then you will see that the creation does not have pairs of opposites. Good, bad, man, woman. These are not pairs of opposites. Then what is creation? Creation has complementary pairs, not my words. Creation does not have pairs of opposites, but it is full of complementary pairs. You understand complementary? By being together, they make a whole. Complementary pairs, by being together, they make a whole. If one of them is removed, totality is not possible. So when the whole world is the manifestation of Ishvara, there is nothing in this creation which you can say is unholy. There is nothing which is unholy. Everything is holy and sacred in the Vedic vision. There is nothing that you can reject. There is nothing, there's no question of dividing into this is acceptable to me and this is not acceptable. Because the whole creation is nothing but Ishvara. So how can you look down upon anything? When everything is nothing but Ishvara, how can you look down upon everything? So Vishwarupa Varnana, that is description of the Lord, is given in the 11th chapter. 11th chapter describes the Lord in totality. And in verse number 10, which is projected here, we get a beautiful description that Ishvara, this is a Vedic vision, Ishvara has countless faces and legs. Aneka Vakranayanam अनेकाद्भुत दर्शनम् अनेक दिव्याभरणम् दिव्यानेकानेकोद्यतायुधम्. What is the meaning? Aneka Bhakta Nayanam. This is the description of Vishwarupa. Aneka Bhakta. Bhakta means faces. So countless faces. This Ishvara as presented in the Veda has countless faces and countless eyes and countless features. Aneka Adbhuta Darshanam, provoking wonder. Aneka Divya Abharanam, bedecked with countless celestial ornaments. And Divya Aneka Udyata Ayudham has countless divine weapons. Ayudham means weapons. Weapons which are held aloft, that is ready for use. Now, when you get such descriptions, in the 11th chapter, several shlokas, I've just given a representative words, but several shlokas have described the Vishwarupa Ishvara. Now, when you listen to such descriptions of Vishwarupa Ishvara in the 11th chapter, you must understand what is Vishwarupa Darshana. Generally, people think that Vishwarupa is a particular form of the Lord. That is how it is presented in the calendars. You will see the Lord with several faces and, several heads and several hands and several legs, just like a millipede or centipede. So, many people think that Vishwarup is a particular form of the Lord, which the Lord presented in the form of, in front of Arjuna temporarily. Now, this is not the proper understanding of Vishwarupa Darshana. This is a wrong interpretation. This interpretation is incorrect. Let us analyze the word Vishwarupa itself. If you are studying Sanskrit, how do you analyze the word Vishwarupa? Visheva Rupaha Yasya Saha. Vishwarupa means Lord whose very form is the universe. And Darshanam means to have vision of such a Lord. So, Bhagavan did not present the Vishwarupa form at a particular time. Be very clear about this. Vishwarupa is not a particular form that Ishvara presented in front of Arjuna at a particular time. Why? Because it was already there right from the time of Srishti. It was already there. It was not presented at a particular time and it will disappear when? It will disappear only at the time of Pralaya. It will disappear at the time of dissolution. So, all of you who are seated here, since you are listening to Vishwarupa Darshana, you must be very clear that Vishwarupa is not a particular form with thousands of hands and thousands of legs and thousands of heads. And don't wait for the darshanam of such a Lord. If somebody claims that I had darshanam of Vishwarupa Ishvara, then that you can call that as millipede, centipede, several legs. But it cannot be Vishwarupa. Then what is all this description? In the 11th chapter, what is this description of Lord having so many mouths and so many eyes and legs and hands? Countless mouths. We saw Aneka Bhakta. What is the meaning? It means learning to see all the mouths of all the creatures as nothing but the mouth, the Lord. Learning to see all the mouths. Each one of us has a mouth. Learning to see all the mouths of all the creatures is nothing but the mouth of the Lord. Because there is no individual that is separate from the total. No individual can be, we are all individuals. We are all individuals and we are not separate from, we are one with the total. So if there is no vyashti, individual means vyashti. There is no vyashti that is separate or away from the samashti. Samashti means the total. I can give an example. There is no wave separate from the ocean, isn't it? Because all waves are individuals, they arise from the ocean and finally they merge into the ocean. There is no wave which has an existence independent or separate from the ocean. When I myself don't exist independently, when I, individual itself doesn't exist independently, where is the question of my mouth or my land or my money, my eyes? Everything actually belongs to Ishvara. And that is why even when we do this arati, we sing one line, Tan man dhan sab kuch hai tera, is the biggest line. Tan man dhan sab kuch hai. Every day we sing the same thing. We tell to the Lord the biggest lie. Why? The Tana, Mana, Dhana, sab kuch hai tera. Actually, our heart has to be behind the words. If you offered your tan and man and dhan to the Lord, the next day it doesn't remain with you for you to offer. But every day, very, very mechanically we say tan man and dhan sab kuch hai tera. Our heart has to be behind these words. Otherwise, it is all only lip service. It's all useless. In our great culture, ours is a great culture. It's very sad that people these days don't understand the greatness of our Vedic culture. Ours is a culture where even if we buy new clothes, even if we buy ornaments, before we put them on, we place in front of the Lord. What does that mean? We are conveying to the Lord, oh Lord, this actually belongs to you. When you place the ornament in front of the Lord before you put it on, you are actually conveying to the Lord, oh Lord, actually everything here is nothing but you. It's your manifestation. So this also belongs to you. And now I'm taking it on these. You understand? I'm taking this on these and I'm ready to return it at any time. Not like our tenants. They live in a rented house for several years and then, they claim to become owners. And then, there will be several cases in the court for several years. Not like that. The whole idea is when you offer to the Lord, even the food that we prepare, we're supposed to offer it to the Lord because even that ultimately belongs to the Lord. So we offer everything. This is our tradition. What is the idea behind that? The idea is not to develop mamaka. The idea is not to develop a sense of ownership with regard to anything. You have to remember always that everything belongs to the Lord. Everything belongs to the Lord. And I should be ready to return anything at any time with a thank you note. With a thank you note. At any time I should be able, even this body is gifted to me. I should be ready to give up this body cheerfully and also the bodies of my close relatives. The next slide, please. To see the world as world, we require the ordinary eye. We are all seeing a world. We are all seeing a world. This is mine. This much I own. All this. To see the world as world, what do you require? You just need the physical eye, the charma chakshu, the mansa chakshu, the gross eye, the physical eye. But to see the world as Lord, you require a special eye. You require a special attitude. And that attitude comes only by the study of the scriptures. That attitude, that special eye, this is called Ditya Chakshu. That can be attained only with the study of the scriptures. And without the proper attitude, you will see Vishwam. All of us are seeing Vishwam because we have the gross eye. Without the special attitude, we all see the world as world, but it cannot be called Vishwarupa Darshanam. It is exactly like Ravana's Mamsa Chakshu. It's just like Ravana's physical eye. With that physical eye, he could see Lord Rama. With the physical eye, even Ravana saw Lord Rama, but he could not get Ishvara Darshanam. With the physical eye, Kamsa could see Lord Krishna, but he could not get Ishvara Darshanam. I'm telling you, if you take a foreigner, you have a foreigner friend coming from some place abroad. You take that foreigner to a temple and you show him the idol of Lord Ganesha or Lord Shiva, any idol. What will he observe? He will only observe the material from which this idol is made. It could be granite, it could be some metal. He will observe the material, he will maximum talk about the antiquity. Oh, this seems to be very antique. He will see it as a piece of stone, the foreigner. But when you go to the temple, when you go to the temple, when we go to the temple, we don't look at the idol as a piece of stone. We look at it as a pratika. For us, that is a symbol of representing the Lord Supreme. It represents Ishvara. So we have lot of reverence. When we go to the temple, we don't see the idol as a piece of stone. We are not looking at the sculpture, but we see it as the manifestation of Ishvara. And so we do namaskara. We can even talk to that idol. We can even talk to the idol and we can actually feel the divinity. That is why students particularly, before the examination, we can sit in front of the Lord and we can tell the Lord, oh Lord, I have not studied. You please take care of. We are able to converse. Why? Because we don't see Lord as a piece of stone. However, just like the foreigner, generally we too look at the world only as a world. We are not able to appreciate it as Ishvara. We may criticize the foreigner that the foreigner sees only the stone, but we are too like that. We don't see the world as Ishvara. We don't get Vishwarupa Darshana. We all see the world only as a world. Now, do I have to stop somewhere? 12 o'clock. If we learn to look at the totality as one Bhagavan, I hope you are able to appreciate. If you learn to see the whole totality, the entire cosmos as one Bhagavan, then reference for everything. Where is the question of intolerance? Where is the question of non-acceptance? We will be able to accommodate everything in the creation. Even the mosquito is a form of the Lord. The mosquito also is a form of the Lord, and we should be incapable of killing even the smallest of creatures. If you get Vishwarupa Darshanam, you should become embodiments of ahimsa. You should become incapable of harming even the smallest of creatures. The next slide, please. Developing reverence towards the creation as the manifestation of the Lord needs an attitudinal change. It needs an attitudinal change. It needs a cognitive change. And that attitudinal change is called Divya Chakshu. Don't imagine Divya Chakshu means one third eye will appear. Nothing like that will appear. It's just a change in your attitude. And that comes by this study of the nature of Lord as presented in our Vedic scriptures. So it is a cognitive change, and that is called as Divya Chakshu. And blessed with a Divya Chakshu, if we are blessed with Divya Chakshu, as Arjun was, then one forgets one's individuality. With reference to the totality, the individual does not exist. So one forgets one's individuality. One forgets one's ragadveshas, likes and dislikes, one's personal views, and learns to appreciate everything as Ishvara Mahima. So then what is Divya Chakshu? Divya Chakshu simply means, next slide please, Raga Dvesha Rahita Chakshu. You understand? A mind free from personal likes and dislikes. Divya Chakshu simply means you can translate it as divine eye. But what is that divine eye? It is a mind which is free from personal likes and dislikes. Thereafter, you don't divide the world into two groups. You don't say that this is desirable, this is undesirable. This is acceptable, this is non-acceptable. But you learn to see everything as nothing but manifestation of Ishvara. And Arjuna was blessed with this vision. Arjuna was granted Divya Chakshu. In one of the verses in the 11th chapter, Lord said that you want to have Vishwarupa Darshanam, you cannot have with your Charma Chakshu. I will give you Divya Chakshu. So people imagine that Lord gave one special type of vision and one third eye. Nothing like that will appear. It's just an attitudinal change born out of mature understanding of the nature of Ishvara. So Arjun was blessed with this vision. At first, Arjun was struck with wonder. Several verses in the 11th chapter, if you go through, even if you read the translation, you can understand. In the beginning, he was wonderstruck. Oh, what is it that I'm seeing? He even experienced horripilation. Hair stood on ends. All this is described in these shlokas. And he bowed down. Repeatedly, he says, Namaste, Namaste. He bowed down before the Lord with hands folded in salutation. But while he was appreciating the beauty of Lord's manifestation in totality, while he was appreciating the beauty of Vishwarupa, suddenly his attention fell upon the Lord's mouth. He saw the Lord's mouth, gaping open and swallowing everything. You get several shlokas, beautiful description. Two verses that I want to mention is verse number 25. Next slide I've given. Where he says, Dakshakaralani chate mukhani drashtvaiva kalanala sandipani disho na jane na lave cha sharma prasida devesha jagannivasa. Even to chant the 11th chapter gives a joy. Because the whole Bhagavad Gita has only 2 meters. One is Anushtup Chanda and the other is Trishtup Chanda. 11th chapter is one chapter where 7 verses continuously they come in Trishtup Chanda. It's a beauty. It's so nice to even chant these verses. And after it is a description of Vishnupa, so even that brings about Vak Shuddhi as well as Chitta Shuddhi. So I saw many students, although the verses were being projected, they were not trying to chant a lot. But you should. So now let's try. Let's join. All of you, please join me. It's a beautiful description when Arjuna looked at the mouth of Vishwarupa Ishvara. Then there's a description. How was it? Danstrakaralani chate mukhani drashtvaiva kalanalasanniphani disho na jane na lave cha dharma prasida devesha jagannivasa. So he says, te mukhani, see your mouths. Danshtra karalani means with protruding canines, looking at your mouth. They're all equivalent to Kala Anana Sandipani. They're all equivalent to fire of dissolution. And looking at all this, Vishwachane, I've lost all sight of direction. And I have no peace. Nabhena Sharma. Sharma means Shanti. There's no peace of mind. So Prasida, O Lord of Lords, please be pleased with me. Prasida Devesha Jagannivasa, Lord in whom the whole world exists. Even the next verse that I want you to see is verse number 30. Devi yase krasamana samantat लोकान् समग्रान् वदनैर्ज्वलद्भिः तेजो विरापूर्य जगत्समग्रम् भासस्तवोग्राः प्रतपन्ति विष्णो. Leliyase. What did Arjuna see? He saw that Lord's mouth was swallowing all the creatures. And with the effulgent flaming mouth, Leliyase Grasamanam, and also declaring, something very sweet. Sometimes when you eat chocolate, so things keep sticking, you keep licking with your tongue. So Lord as though was enjoying licking all these creatures. And Tejo Viprapurya Jagat Samagrama, filling up the entire world with brilliance, your fierce flames burn, O Lord Vishnu. So this is the description of Vishwarupa. So while he was appreciating Vishwarupa, suddenly his attention fell upon the mouth which was swallowing everything. Now, what does this mean? So Arjuna says, I'm not able to know who are you. Please tell me who exactly you are, because I'm seeing a very terrible scene in front of me. All creatures, even my beloved ones, are now being swallowed by you, and you're enjoying the whole thing. You are actually swallowing and you are picking up all these creatures. So please tell me who exactly you are. And then Lord introduces himself, which we shall see in the next session after our break. I'm supposed to stop for a break. I don't know, it's tea break or something. 10 minutes of tea break. So you can have your tea and then we come back with Lord's description of himself as we serve. Om Purnamadas Purnamidam Purnam Rajate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashirate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you.
We have a break in 10 minutes. We will see you there in short.
Probably waiting for a long time for the break, isn't it? Yes. छन्दोभ्यो व्यङ्गासम्बभूव समेन्द्रो मेधया शृणोतु अमृतस्य देवधारणो भूयासम् शरीरं मे विचर्षणम् जिह्वा मे मन्मत्तमा कर्णाभ्याम्बूदिविश्रुवम् ब्रह्मणः कोशोऽसि मेधया विहितः श्रुतं मे गोपाय ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. When Lord Krishna gave Arjuna the Divya Chakshu, the capacity to appreciate the Lord in the form of totality, the entire creation. Initially, Arjuna was wonderstruck. But when Arjuna sees the Lord's mouth set with terrible fangs, we saw the description. This mouth of the Lord, as described in the Bhagavad Gita, the 11th chapter, it represents Kala Tattva. It represents time. And the whole world is governed by the time principle. This time swallows everything. It is time which is swallowing away even our lifespan. From the time we started this session to the end of the session, you will be older. Time takes away, it swallows everything gradually. So Arjuna is now curious. What I see in front of me, I'm aghast. Oh Lord, please tell me who actually you are. What is your nature? And when Arjuna makes such a request, in verse number 32 of the 11th chapter, if you're holding a Bhagavad Gita or it is on the screen, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Kalosmi Lokakshaya Krit Pravruttaha Lokan Samahartumiha Pravruttaha Rutepi Tvam Na Bhavishyanti Sarve Yeva Sthita Pratyanikeshu Yoddha. Shri Bhagavan Vacha. When Arjuna asked, please tell me who actually you are. Verse number 32, the next line. Yeah, that's it. Shri Bhagavan Vacha. So Lord says, Kalosmi. I am the time principle, O Arjuna. Lokakshaya Krut. I am the destroyer of people, Lokakshaya. And Pravruttaha. Pravruttaha means I am who is spread all over. So time, these have that proverb, time and tide waits for none. Time does not spare anyone. So I am spread all over. Pravruttaha. Lokan samahartum iha pravruttaha. And what is my activity? My activity is samahartum. Samahartum means to destroy. My activity is to make people age. You may try a lot to appear young. And very often we are not even able to age gracefully. So, with the appearance of grey hair, people are not able to accept the reality, and so you want to die. Why? Because you want to appear young. Whatever you do, but Lord as Kala Tattvam makes people age and die here. That's Prakriti. Na bhavishyanti sarve. Arjuna, even without you, all these warriors who have assembled in the opposing armies, they will cease to exist. Na bhavishyanti sarve. ye avastita atyadikeshu yodhaha. So this kala has two sides. One is birth and the other is death. And Vishwarupa Bhakta, a devotee of the Lord, learns to accept both as an integral part of life. You have to learn to accept both birth as well as death. When Arjuna sees Vishnu, what happened? His objectivity goes. Arjuna became fearful and he begins to view everything suddenly with subjectivity. His objectivity was gone and he began to view everything as an individual. Now, with individuality, in the vision of an individual, death is a terrible thing. Death appears bhayankara. From the standpoint of totality, death is the most auspicious event. That is why in our ashram, when somebody donates, on the death of their loved one, their relative, we call it Mangala Tithi. So, from the standpoint of the totality, death also is the most auspicious event. You know why? Because it paves the way for the next generation, the new generation. The death of old generation paves the way for new generation. Can you imagine if all the old people continued to live forever? What would be the condition of earth? But the old generation goes and the new generation comes. So, in the vision of totality, death is a very auspicious event. Daily, so many people are dying. And we read in the newspaper, we see in the news, there's a special column, obituary column, Dukkhad Avsar. So that obituary column we can comfortably go through. We read about the death of so many people, it doesn't affect at all. It doesn't affect us. But when the same event comes into our home, when the same event comes with respect to people whom we call our own, then our vision changes. We lose all objectivity and we start looking at it from the standpoint of an individual. Our subjectivity comes in. Arjuna too was immature. Arjuna too did not have enough maturity to maintain that objectivity. And so, he saw Bhishma Pitamaha, in several verses it is said, he saw Bhishma Pitamaha and Drona, his beloved teacher, all entering into this mouth of the Lord. And Arjuna too, because of his attachment is called Raga. Because of his attachment for Bhishma and Drona, whom he could not withstand even the thought of separation. And so, his wonderment, initially there was wonderment. He was wonderstruck, but that wonderment, it changed into fear. It gave place to fear. His intense attachment did not allow him to assimilate the Vishwarupa Darshanam, which involves acceptance of growth as well as decay, birth as well as death. All these are nothing but complementary pairs. They are all manifestation of the same Lord. And so now Arjuna pleads. At the end of the chapter, Arjuna now pleads to the Lord, "Oh Lord, it's enough. I cannot withstand this sight. Please withdraw the Vishwarupa." Everybody else will say Arjuna was very lucky. Suppose somebody is granted this Divya Chakshu and is able to appreciate Vishwarupa, definitely we will feel that Arjuna was very lucky. But Arjuna was terribly disturbed. He was terribly disturbed. And so, Lord Krishna now withdraws the Divya Chakshu. And Lord concludes by saying, Arjuna, I gave you the privilege to have the vision of Vishwarupa. You know why? It was because of your devotion, because of your bhakti. And so, can I have the next slide, please? There in verse number 54, that is at the end of the chapter. Lord says, Bhaktya tvananyaya shakyah अहमेवं विधोऽर्जुन ज्ञातुं द्रष्टुं च तत्त्वेन प्रवेष्टुं च परन्तप. अर्जुन, अनन्यया भक्त्या शक्यः अहम् एवं विधः द्रष्टुं ज्ञातुं तत्त्वेन प्रवेष्टुं च हे परन्तप. Arjuna, with devotion, ananya bhaktya. Ananya bhaktya means ananya bhakti. When there is none other, when everything else is subservient, Ishvara Prapti is the primary goal of life. That is called Ananya Bhakti. With devotion in which there is no other, it is possible, Jnatum, it is possible to know me, Drashtum, it is possible to see me in my true nature, not with the physical eye. See me in my true nature, and Praveshtum cha. Praveshtum means it is possible to merge into me. It is possible to know your oneness with me. So, Bhakti is presented at the end of the 11th chapter as a means for Vishwarupa Darshan. Ishvara Bhakti is presented as a means to Mukti in the 12th chapter, which is going to come. Tomorrow, do you have the session? Yes, tomorrow. So, in the 12th chapter, unswerving devotion, Bhakti will be beautifully presented in the 12th chapter, which I have covered in my very first session for this program itself. So, with that type of Ananya Bhakti, one can know the truth behind the entire creation. So, through Bhakti, Bhakti thi Mukti. Through Bhakti, one can attain Mukti. Through Bhakti, one attains maturity and one is able to recognize and appreciate the true nature of the Lord, Ishvara Swarupa. And once you recognize that Ishvara is Arupaha, the real nature of Ishvara is Arupaha. Arupaha means formless. Chaitanya Rupaha. Chaitanya Rupa means of the nature of consciousness. Once you come to know the nature of Ishvara, last year I presented the 7th chapter. I don't know whether this book was there, some other book must be there. So, 7th chapter, the higher nature of Ishvara was called Paraprakriti. So once you come to recognize Ishvara as Para Prakriti, you will no longer stand as a separate entity. Right now, we all stand with our egos as limited individuals. But once you come to appreciate the real nature of Lord, then you don't stand out as a separate entity. You don't, your recognition will be, I'm not away from the Lord. I'm one with the Lord. And so finally, in the 11th chapter, Lord says, Arjuna, you continue to be a bhakta. And not for one day, not for 1 hour. The bhakti that we all know is a seasonal bhakti. The bhakti that we all practice is a temporary bhakti. What we need to do is to transform from a temporary bhakta to permanent bhakta. In the house of a landlord, there was one man who was working as a cook. And this man, the cook of the house, had a beautiful voice. So while he would cook in the kitchen, he would sing something. And all the guests who came into that house, they would be enamored listening to his voice, his singing, and they would ask the landlord, who is singing? And he would say, it's my cook who is singing. It so happened that fate was in his favor. After many years, he gave up his job of being a cook and he became a very accomplished singer. And once again, he came to the house of the landlord one day and he offered to cook something. So now, because of the habit, while he was cooking, he started singing. Some guests asked the landlord, who is singing? And when the landlord said, you know that singer? He is cooking. But accomplished singer is cooking. So this is a mere switchover of rules. Earlier it was cook who was singing, now it is that singer who is cooking. Right now, the bhakti that we practice is a weekend bhakti. Or it's a temporary bhakti. The bhakti that we know of is seasonal bhakti. On Sunday, suddenly for few minutes or for 1 hour, we become bhakta. When there are some festivals, suddenly, bhakti will just brim out of us. But it is temporary. You have to transform into a permanent devotee. Right now, the roles that we are playing, they are primary. I'm so and so son. I'm the, and now and then, I become a bhakta. The roles are primary. So all the problems that are associated with the roles also they become very serious for us. But the moment you transform into a permanent devotee, you are no longer an ordinary father. You are a devotee first and a father next. So you are a devotee father. You are a devotee daughter. You are a devotee son. You are a devotee. You are a devotee first. Devotee of the Lord. This is real bhakti. This is true devotion. Tomorrow you are going to anyway hear about bhakti yoga. And so the Lord concludes the chapter with the words. Can I have the next slide, please? This is the last verse of the 11th chapter. All of you, I think, should chant along with me. Mat karma krit mat paramo मत्कर्म मत्परमः मद्भक्तः सङ्गवर्जितः once again मत्कर्म मत्परमः मद्भक्तः सङ्गवर्जितः निर्वैरः सर्वभूतेषु यः स मामेति पाण्डवम्. I don't think the volume is enough. Many of you, please chant. This is the last verse. It's a very, very important verse of the 11th chapter, and it is this verse which sows the seed for the next chapter which is going to come. Makkarma matparamah मद्भक्तः सङ्गवर्जितः निर्वैरः सर्वभूतेषु यः स मामेति पाण्डवः. So now Lord says, "O Arjuna, karma krut." You convert your whole life into worship of the Lord. Anything that you do, mat karma krut. Even the smallest action that you do with the attitude that it is worship of the Lord. And when you do your actions with the attitude that it is Ishvara Puja, then it cannot be inferior. You cannot do a slipshod action and say Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. You cannot offer it to your Lord. It has to be done to the best of your ability. When you go to the temple, when you do a puja, whatever you offer to the Lord, it has to be the best. So, mat karma krut. Arjuna, you convert your whole life into worship of the Lord. Mat param, mat paramaha. Parama here means goal. Make me as the primary goal, the ultimate goal of life. That does not mean that you will not pursue artha kama. You can pursue wealth. You can pursue sense pleasure. You can do a lot of punya karmas, dharma, artha, kama. There is nothing wrong in pursuing all that. But moksha, param purushartha, that is the ultimate goal of your life. So that is called mat paramaha, mat bhaktaha bhava. You become my devotee and not a temporary devotee. You become my permanent devotee. Sakkarmi varjitaha. Sangha means free from all attachments. There is nothing wrong in moving, transacting with the world. But you should transact, you should know the art of living. You should know how to transact with everything or everybody without attachment. Sanghavartitaha. Nirvairaha sarva bhuteshu. Where no enmity towards any creature. So without enmity towards any creature, the one who conducts oneself in this manner, this is all karma yoga. One who conducts oneself in this manner, yaha sa mam eti. Finally, he will attain. So with the glorification of bhakti as a means to liberation, as a means to mukti, the 11th chapter, the Vishwarupa Darshana Yoga is completed. And even earlier I told you, bhakti is not any particular sadhana. Bhakti is not any particular sadhana. It is the name given to all the sadhanas, all the spiritual disciplines put together. Ultimately, all the sadhanas should culminate into mukti. All the sadhanas, they must be done in the atmosphere of bhakti. The puja that you do, the parayanam that you do, the deva darshanam, the yatra, everything should be done in an atmosphere of devotion. So, bhakti yoga, the seed of bhakti yoga is planted at the end of the 11th chapter. And just one more point now that I want to say, what is the relevance and significance of this chapter? See, the main purpose of Vishwarupa Ishwar Darshana is to expand the mind. Right now, our mind is extremely narrow. It has the notion of I and mine. So, this narrow mind cannot become eligible for mukti or moksha. So, the main purpose of Vishwarupa Darshanam is Chitta Vishalata. It is meant to expand the mind so that you become capable of accepting and including all creatures as God's manifestation. So Vishwarupa Ishwar Darshanam is meant to give you that paripakvata, the maturity of the mind, by which you should be able to respect and accept. I like the word accommodate. You should be able to accommodate all creatures as God's manifestation. You should be able to accept all religions, all class of people, irrespective of caste, creed, and nationality. The main problem with the society these days is intolerance. It is non-acceptance. It leads to so much of hatred, strife, and tension. All this can be called the problems of samsara. So Vishnurupa Darshana brings about a holistic vision. It brings about objectivity in you, wherein you don't divide the world into according to your raga dvesha. Something is acceptable and non-acceptable. Where you don't look at the world as pairs of opposites. I told you, they are all complementary pairs which make a whole. And it is this change of attitude. It's purely a change of attitude that you need to bring about, wherein you appreciate the Lord's supremacy and you accept your instrumentality. In one of the verses, I think it's the 33rd verse of the 11th chapter, it's a very interesting statement by Lord Krishna. He says, Nimitta matra bhava samya sadhiji. Oh Arjuna, you be just an instrument. Now, this is a very controversial line which needs to be carefully understood. A lot of people conclude that Lord has said, Nimitta matram, you are only an instrument, so that we don't have any free will. Many people interpret it as we don't have any free will, we are mere puppets in the hands of the Lord. Many people think that everything is predestined, that we have no choice at all. And so many people come to fatalistic conclusions. Now, fatalism is the deadliest thing, and let me tell you, it is not accepted by our Vedic scriptures. If fatalism was promoted by Lord Krishna, he would not have said, Uddhared Atmanatmanam Natmanam Avasadaye. He would not have said, lift yourself by yourself. Lord wants you to be responsible for your life. So it's not that this is not that you are just an instrument, you are a puppet, and everything is predestined. If just for the sake of argument, just listen to this. If Bhagwan is the doer of everything, let us assume, then Bhagwan becomes the karta. Bhagwan becomes the karta, and you are only an instrument. You understand? You are just a karma. So all the punya papa when it occurs, whom will it go to? It will go to Bhagavan. So Bhagavan will become a samsari. All the punya papas will go to Bhagavan. Bhagavan will become a samsari and you will be an samsari. And for all the papa karmas, who will get the punishment? When there is an accident on the road, nobody punishes the scooter. The punishment will go only to the one who is driving the scooter. Now you are only a karana and Bhagwan is a karta. So for all the papa karmas, who gets punished? It is Bhagwan who will be punished. So if you say that you are only a nimitta and Ishvara is a karta, then this dharma shastra, do this, don't do this, to whom it is relevant? It's not relevant to us, it is relevant only to Bhagwan. Nimitta matram does not mean that everything is predestined. Then what is the meaning of that statement? Listen carefully. Nimitta Matra means live your life according to Lord's will. Don't live your life according to your ragadvesha. इन्द्रियस्येन्द्रियस्यार्थे रागद्वेष व्यवस्थितौ तयोर्नवशमागच्छेत्. Don't live your life according to your whims and fancies, but align your life according to the Lord's will. Dharma and adharma is the will of the Lord. Ragadvesha is your personal will. So when there's a conflict between your personal ragadvesha and dharma and adharma, you should abide by dharma and adharma. That is the meaning of nimitta matram bhava. Nimitta matram bhava means Bhagavad Ichha Anusarena Vartana. Bhagavad Ichha Anusarena Vartana. If there is a contradiction, if there's a conflict between God's will and your personal will, you should abide by God's will. You should go by the norms of dharma. That is what is meant by nimitta matra. So nimitta matra, bhava sabya sajit is also one of the important statements of the 11th chapter. I have tried to cover this very lengthy chapter, but these are the salient points of this chapter, and this is a beautiful chapter because it helps us to expand our mind. It helps us to accept and accommodate everything in the creation and not develop any sense of hatred or any enmity or non-acceptance towards anything in this creation. With these words, I will end this session for today. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashidyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namah Hari Om. One thing that I wanted to say is, I think this is the fourth session that I'm interacting, uh, fifth session. During COVID, we had an online sessions, two online sessions, and the remaining three sessions have come here. I've covered the 12th chapter, I've covered the 13th chapter, which is a very tough one to cover, and the 7th chapter and the 11th chapter, and also 3 chapters. But it's always a pleasure. It's always a pleasure coming to this place because I think it's beautiful program that has been recognized, and I must appreciate all of you youngsters. I don't know how much you grasp of the salient principles of our scriptures, but at least all of you are making an effort. All of you are making an effort, and it is this effort which is your tapas, which will finally lead you to your ultimate goal. I pray to the Lord that someday all of you get an opportunity to at least study the Bhagavad Gita thoroughly. Because I tell you, there's no scripture like the Bhagavad Gita in the entire world. Everybody has to know because it is a manual of life. It teaches you the real art of living. In fact, I tell my people who come in contact with me, I tell them, all the youngsters, because youngsters are seated here, this is one scripture you need to study even before you enter the Gita. Then you can never say, I don't know how to conduct myself. Because you have the direction. It gives you the direction. Every type of advice has been imparted to us. Every type of guidance has been imparted to us. A whole route map to live life meaningfully, purposefully has been given in the Bhagavad Gita. Unfortunately, people don't know its value. But at least whenever I come here, I really feel very happy to interact with all of you. And even today's session, I think it was a lengthy chapter. I was a little skeptical. How am I going to convey people who are probably not familiar with the text, but the way you people try to imbibe, try to grasp. I really pray to the Lord that all of you have them. Okay. If there are questions or second. Don't bother. If there's anything in your mind, you can You can raise a question. What do you do with all this? I mean, I saw some of you noting down. So, I mean, it's just a course that you have to do, that you're noting down, or do you go back and reflect for yourself? Because very often I find that people listen, but they have not really understood the greatness of the scripture. Right at the beginning, I told you this is the Bhagavad Gita is the essence of our Vedic teaching. So even if you grasp a little bit of this essence, it can take you a long way. But very often, I think it's because of the age and the state that people are in. Very often we don't understand its value till, we get a little slaps from, our Prarabdha. What do you do with your notes? Do you ever read them? Or you have to pass an examination, is it? No. Yeah. So there are more people writing notes this side than this side. Probably they all absorbed it here, maybe. Let me be optimistic. There any questions? Yeah, you can ask. I can't hear you. You have to hold it like this. मैंने ऐसा सुना है कि बहुत सारे महाकाव्यों की वजह से क्या बोलते हैं, बहुत सारे तरह के दर्शन बहुत सारे ऐसे संत हैं जिनको बहुत फर्क करने की बात थी, लाइक विभीषण को भी मुक्ति नहीं मिली। तो मुक्ति मिलना आसान है या बहुत कठिन है? कोई कोई बोलते हैं सिर्फ नाम जप करने से भी मुक्ति मिलती है। हाँ, first of all you have to understand ये जो शब्द है ना, मुक्ति means moksha, and in English we translate it as freedom. So freedom from what? Mukti moksha means from what? It is freedom from ignorance, freedom from dependency. There is a dependency on the world for our happiness. हम सोचते हैं कि हमारा जो सुख है, हमारी शांति, हमारी जो सुरक्षा है, it is all dependent on the object of the world. So, mukti only means freedom from this type of dependency. So, don't imagine that mukti moksha is any mystic experience. There's no mystic experience. So, that type of mukti, if it is to be got by knowledge, mukti can be attained only through knowledge. And here, when I say knowledge, it means knowledge of our real self. Knowledge of our real self. So now she said that many people get mukti by going on pilgrimage or going on Tirth Yatra. Now, that type of statement, even if you have come across, what it means is Tirth Yatra, Deva Darshan, even your puja, or your parayanam, or even your dhyanam, any sadhana that you do, it can take you up to purification of the mind. Because right now, the mind with which we have to attain this knowledge is not prepared. Even when you wanted admission, the prospectus will say you need some eligibility. Similarly, for self-knowledge also, you need to be qualified. The qualifications can be attained through other sadhanas. So, in one way, you can say Tirth Yatra gives moksha, but indirectly. Paramparaya, indirectly meaning first it will purify the mind. Purification means it will remove all these negativity from the mind. All your raga, desha, kama, krodha, loka, moha, we have any number of negative inclinations. All that will be dispelled. Now the mind is a fit instrument for the attainment of knowledge that we are talking about in the Shastra. So finally, mukti or moksha is only through jnana. And any saint, anybody who has attained moksha has to attain knowledge because Shastra says, buddhi jnane na mukti jnana eva tam kaivalya. You understand? So even if there is some saint and all these things which are written in the book, because whether I am liberated or not, only I can know. So all these things written in the book, they are just, some insights written by some authors in their own way. There is no way for us to know that there is some saint who did not attain because anybody who has attained this knowledge, even you, if you attain this knowledge, liberation is here and now. That is what is mentioned in the scripture.